Hello, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Sunrise Daily today. Happy holidays. I'm Chamberlain. So,
indeed, Barakat Salah in advance. I think that will certainly be in order because we know that tomorrow now has been declared Salah. Good morning and welcome to Sunrise Daily. I'm Maupe Ogun Yusuf.
Well, guess what? It's a long holiday now.
It is 3 days.
Wednesday, Thursday has been added to the holiday, so that you can plan and do whatever however you want it to be. So not just from Lagos or Abuja, but have a look at this. I mean, in case you have you ever tried mountain hiking or going around the water, coming down from one of those mountainous locations? Have a look at this. I think maybe this might just have some soothing effect to yourself, your friends, whoever. Take a walk to this Gurara waterfalls. So quite some distance from how long from Abuja? So that's where we're showing you this morning. So you can just go ahead and just relax as much as you can. It could help.
Indeed, 3 days certainly is a long time to be at home. Well, if you have the petrol to burn, travel, because I know that this is this certainly is a while away from Abuja, like central Abuja. This is in Niger State. Well, for citizens or for residents of Niger State, this might not be too far away. But if you live in Abuja, Lokoja, you know, and environs, maybe the North Central region, and you want to visit this area, it certainly will be worth your while. It might be changing, though. There's just a bit of caution there. It might be changing because right now the rains are coming. Yesterday night was quite a heavy downpour, so it changes a bit. This was right in the peak of the dry season, but I tell you, it's still good time to be able to visit this iconic site, the Gurara Waterfalls in Niger State. A very lovely place to spend time with family, unwind, and certainly let your hair down.
And it's, it's about 30 meters. That's the waterfall there, approximately 30 meters in height. And so you also get to see that that waterfall right there, they plan to turn it into some sort of resort, a tourist site. So it will be lovely to have people come visit these kind of locations and just lovely scenery while we are at it. So happy holidays to everyone once again.
Indeed.
So yes, today, tomorrow, and is that the day after? No. Today's Tuesday. Oh, how am I going so fast?
I can't blame you, Chamberlain. Today is Tuesday, but when you have to come to work during the holidays, your head tends to be muddled a bit, you know.
Well, there'll be some scenario we're going to have business on Sunrise Daily this morning, and so, yeah, you can have a look at that. So that, the huge focus on business on Sunrise Daily today. John Mekwa should be around to also take us through what to expect with business this morning. Okay, so having said that, let's go ahead and take you through some of the dailies here today. All right, let's have a look at some of the dailies this morning. We're kicking off on an economic note with the Guardian newspaper this morning. Naira nears 1,000 naira to the dollar as CBN policies stress test banks unlock liquidity. Well, that is a big lead on the front page of The Guardian here today. So focusing on some of the developments within that sector. Well, Vanguard newspaper follows a similar narrative. Woes for forex dealers as CBN cuts BDC rates to 1,117.5 naira to the dollar. That is their own big lead on the front page here, but they've got a couple of riders, which the first reads, bans foreign-denominated collateral for Naira loans. Analysts attribute Naira appreciation to CBN policies. Incentive for forex malpractice eliminated. Ascribed to ABCON, that's ABCON. So Vanguard following through with that one on an economic note there this morning. So, but have a look at Daily Independence. Also on an economic front, the lead story reads, Nigerian banks' loans environment still toxic, analysts lament. And the rider, the first of which I read, CBN bans use of foreign currency denominated collateral for Naira loans, similar to the one that you also read previously, approves daily sales of $10,000 to 1,588 BDC operators. So that's what you have on the front page of Daily Independent, speaking economically. Oh yeah, but look at Business Day. They also following through on an economic note. Dollars pour into Nigeria at fastest clip in 5 years. So probably something to share. But the Nigerian Observer, also on an economic front, CBN bans foreign currency denominated collaterals for Naira loans. So much going on the economic front, which you see there. And then on to politics. Well, Daily Trust leads with what played out in Edo State yesterday. Shaibu becomes 17th impeached deputy governor since 1999. Lawyers divided over constitutional leeway for lawmakers. Obaseki swears in 38-year-old engineer as deputy. So swiftly right there, just having that one. And then above that list, Salah, low turnout at markets. This Nigeria follows suit with a similar narrative. Edo, Obaseki finally knocks out Shaibu. In a predictable outcome, Assembly impeaches Deputy Governor on alleged gross misconduct. Ex-Deputy Governor vows to fight on in an emotional farewell broadcast. And then you have 38-year-old Omabaya Godwin's takes over. And look at the image on the front page there. When the going was good. That's literally how the caption is this morning on the front page of This Nigeria. So there you go. That's politics. Game of interest, they say, isn't it? Blueprint, which also follows through with politics. 9 days to PDP neck. Fresh crisis hits party as 60 reps demand Damagum's sack. So who knows what will and how that will eventually turn out. Lots of focus on the impressions the Naira is making against the dollar. Long may that continue.
Amen. And I was going to say, the Umar says amen. Because, yesterday I was just saying, I have palpitations looking at what was being reported and how much our forex base had taken a hit as a result of the purchases we had to make. And we're wondering at what cost. But yesterday, the CBN decided to sell dollars to some BDCs. I think over 1,000 of them are eligible for $10,000 each. Yes, and they are going to sell at 1,101 Naira. Beg your pardon. The CBN is selling to them at 1,101 Naira, and they're not supposed to charge more than a 1.5% margin in profit. Now that means that, the Naira is even gaining even further. And they are very, very, I imagine now that, all BDCs are following the line. They are within the boundaries that have been set for them. So it'll be interesting to see what impact or what effect that will have on the Naira.
In addition to that, yesterday, those reports about banks lobbying the CBN to see how they could shift grounds a little bit on their recapitalization drive. So many are looking to see, will the CBN budge? Because, what's that proverb again? The signs in the morning determines how they're going to proceed. So if they're going to be a stern regulator who says, listen, stick to the rules, stick to the rules, not business as usual. Many will look to see because they're trying to test grounds to see. Let's try this CBN and see if it's all huff and puff. And so if it's all huff and puff, who knows? But I guess many will have their eye on this. And besides, they're also investigating some amount of what's that word again? Some monies, the claims about the $7.something trillion that they said we had backlog. So they're investigating some of them, saying some of these are not true. But let's find out. Let's have concrete data. So when did you have that? I think it will have a lot of impact in what happens moving forward. So big deal it will be on what they decide. But in addition to all of these policies, above all else, manufacturing, we have to do something major about attending to our manufacturing base. Because if we don't do that, I don't want to be a pessimist, but the realistic thing is, if we don't do what we have to do, we'll get what we get.
Now, a lot of people will say, well, we were currently in this situation because we consume more than we produce. I mean, a lot of the things that we consume are imported into our country. So we know that if we must make progress, one of the areas we must pay attention to will be manufacturing. And I think anything to get that particular sector going will certainly be very welcome. Some people have also said that this electricity tariff increase for Band A customers will negatively impact manufacturers. Now, it will be very interesting to get the perspective of manufacturers if they think that this is going to negatively impact them, especially if they're being guaranteed, will I say, at least a minimum of 20-hour supply. We should ask them, is that possible? Is that working already? You know, what impacts is that going to have? Because at the end of the day, part of the argument is that this is going to be transferred to customers who are not on any band. Oh, I don't want to say bandless customers. Well, as long as they're not bandits.
Why do I feel like I know the answer?
Well,
what you want to ask the manufacturers?
The manufacturers. Well, we'll wait to hear from them, because some people will say the alternatives are very expensive. They are even more expensive than the 225 naira being charged. But let's not forget, that 225 naira that is being bandied about does not include VAT. Oh, yes, you still get to pay VAT, and sometimes another service charge could be included. So at the end of the day, that 225 naira could certainly be much more than what is on paper.
Yeah, they'll tell you, we have one of the best prices in Nigeria, in Africa, in the world. Oh, all of this. Well, have a look at what was coming up next.
With Glovo, you order anything you want, and when you receive it, you celebrate with your whole body. Because when that tasty grilled chicken is here, the weekend starts. The ingredients for your favorite recipe just in time. And when the cake arrives, the party is on. Because receiving anything on Glovo deserves a dance. Download the app, order anything you want, and track it minute by minute until it arrives. Glovo, order anything, we deliver in minutes.
Now, all of us like to chop better food. Food where they make body tranga and vegetables where fresh like say tomorrow not day. We want make the chocolate sweet the way we go like them. No cubes. Now be the secret. Then make them with correct ingredients like chicken, parsley, garlic, plenty iron corn full and palm to make your chocolate palm bar for you. Come the sweet well. Now be the cocoa. Make we carry salute, throw away give no.
Change your world by changing waiting day your plate.
Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. Well, yes, indeed, as you've seen there, Chief Dele Momodu joins us next. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us on the program today.
Good morning, Chamberlain.
Yeah.
How are you and Nigeria today?
Yeah, well, we're keeping our spirits up as much as we can. It's a holiday, so Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday will be the holiday then. I know some may have half day, some may not even do any day on Friday. Then it will go into Saturday, Sunday. I envy those people because I'm not going to be one of them. I have to keep going. But you're somewhere, and we appreciate your keeping up in the wee hours of the morning where you are in somewhere, Montego Bay. Oh, sounds good in Jamaica, actually. So I think it was 6 hours ahead of you. So
Yes,
we appreciate your staying up this early. But just in case, I know being in transit, you might miss out on some of the recent happenings. For instance, let's let you listen to this particular piece. It's something that played out in Edo State about the deputy governor. In case you may have some part of have a listen to this if you can for a minute or so, and then we'll just talk about it as we move on to other items too.
My good people of Edo State, I thank you all for standing by me under these troubling circumstances as the deputy governor of Edo State. It is with heavy heart, yet a resolute spirit, that I come before you to address the recent events that have unfolded within our dear state. I denounce in strongest terms the illegal impeachment by the Edo State House of Assembly over trumped-up charges. This is not just an attack on me as an individual, but on the very democratic principle that we hold there. It is a dangerous descent into dictatorship and a threat to the foundation of our democracy. Let it be clear that this impeachment was hushed because of my ambition to contest the Edo State 2024 governorship election under the People's Democratic Party, PDP. The allegations brought against me are nothing more than a smokescreen to conceal the true motive behind this impeachment. It's a flagrant abuse of power and a betrayal of the trust that the people of Edo have placed in their elected officials. I will stand firm in my resolve to see justice done. As we stand united in the face of tyranny and oppression, I urge all to remain calm and go about our lawful duties as good citizens and true Democrats.
So there you go, Chief. The deputy governor is now former deputy governor. I think he says he's going to fight on, but they have put in a new deputy governor within your party. So I guess what? It doesn't just rain, but it pours. What's going on?
Well, I followed the news even from where I am yesterday. And for me, I'd prayed, I'd hoped that it wouldn't come to this. I don't have the facts of the case. I don't know what went wrong between two friends, two brothers. They worked very closely together in the past nearly 8 years. So, but I'm just one man. I'm also from Edo State, apart from being a member of PDP. So I wish him well. I wish our state well. They say there is no smoke without fire. There must have been very, very big issues between them, husbands and wives, do quarrel and they head for a divorce. So nothing is impossible, also in politics. Like I said, I wish him well, and I hope that they can still be friends thereafter.
What do you consider, when people use the word democracy, is it mature? What kind of democracy do we have? Transactional politics, we still have a long way to go. How do you relate with those kind of narrative when these kind of issues are approached in this way? If you fall out with somebody, you kick him out and then keep as much as you can to yourself.
You see, democracy in Nigeria has not fully grown, has not fully developed. Democracy in Nigeria today is a game of winner takes all. The governor is always the boss. The president is always the boss. And that is why you will see that we've had this kind of squabbles in the past, whether at the presidential level or the gubernatorial level. So, like I said, there are some things must have gone wrong between because they used to be very chummy, they used to be very close. They are both my brothers, they are my friends. I love them both. And I always wish that something should not happen. But when they happen, all we can do is to move on with your life. I know that there is life outside power. I've never been in power, so I know that you can still enjoy your life without being in power. So that's my attitude. But our democracy definitely needs a lot of fine-tuning so that we can avoid some of these problems. Because each time it happens, those affected are the poor people, the ordinary people, the ordinary voters, the ordinary supporters of each candidate, of each of them. So, but as long as governance does not suffer, the reason why I was hoping it won't happen is that we have just a few months left before they leave office. But definitely, the governor must have wanted to make a point. I've listened to both sides of the divide, and people have said this for A and that for B. So, like I said, for now, anybody who agrees to be a deputy or governor, a vice president, be prepared for anything. It has to be a show of absolute loyalty to your boss. That is the lesson I've picked from it.
Well, speaking about which, governance, we've had quite a number of people who've been here and they talk about the policies that the government has put in place. And of course, supporters of all the key aspirants and candidates at that time always say, well, after all, this party's candidate said they were going to remove subsidy. This party's candidate also said they were going to do the same thing. So if they've done it now, is it any difference from what they said they were going to do? But ever since then, several other policies have been put in place by this government. So from your perspective, how do you think those policies are coming along?
Well, I beg to differ. And I will use the example of a man I love to quote all the time. Chief Akeredolu used to say, the way you shout yay will determine whether people are going to start running or people are going to dance. Yes, virtually every, candidate promised to remove the subsidy. But how do you really remove a subsidy on the very first day when you have not even settled down to government, you have no cabinet, you have not consulted the people, you have not prepared the people, and you just wake up, and even President Tinubu himself said it, that he just had a brainwave, and he received some Holy Spirit courage from God knows where, and this thing must go. In one fell swoop, and Nigeria collapsed since then. Nigeria went into coma. It's like a new doctor taking over the affairs of a patient. And without studying your patient, you just thought, oh, look, all I need is just one injection. It's either this injection will kill you or keep you alive. And that is what happened to Nigeria. President Tinubu came on the very first day of his government and just fired these unfortunate shots at the ordinary people of Nigeria, because no matter how much you sell fuel, some people can afford it. No matter how much the electricity tariff becomes, some people can afford it. But what about men and women of modest income like myself, who are barely surviving in our country today? What of the middle class that have been wiped out? So it is not a matter of whether they promise, they all promised it. It is the manner. If you listened to Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, he had told us that the process of removing subsidy is not new. It had already started. Even under the President Olusegun Obasanjo, the process has started, and they were to be done in phases. You cannot tell a man who is barely earning 20,000 naira and say, whether you like it or not, you can afford to buy fuel. So just go and buy it. I don't care where you're going to get the money from. I think that is a bit too harsh and draconian on the people.
Mm. Well, it's been how many months now since that happened? And I know that after, that happened, just a few, how many days ago did you put this post on X, which has now gained at least 4.1 million views. Incredible. Ooh. Where you were telling people that, look, it has become necessary for me to offer apologies to those who have asked me for one support or the other in recent times for my inability to help. You say you're currently overwhelmed by your own projects that require absolute discipline and focus. I know that a lot of people say, oh, we're going to adopt this tweet. and indeed they have. They've reposted it many times. But I can tell you, Chief Mamadou, if you are a man of modest means, I don't know what those who work with you are going to say they are. Anyways, away from that, this is certainly, this is where we currently are. As you did say, you likened, where we were to to a patient which, needed treatment. And a lot of people will agree that before the president came on board, it was all agreed that Nigeria was economically ill. Well, not just economically, perhaps in many other regards. In the area of corruption, we're not doing so well. We needed some cleansing there. In the area of economy, of course, we needed a big help. In the area of security, it's been a bother for many people as well. These are all the major areas that people have just been wondering what exactly is going on with our country. So, yes, all the presidential aspirants and eventually candidates, were like doctors who were, coming up to say, look, we can help the patients. We can do something about it. So if the president offered, because some people will say, from afar, there's been plenty of diagnoses that had been made as to what precisely was wrong and perhaps some of the quick wins that we could have. When you look at attempts right now to recover from that first shots which the president fired, is it in the area of trying to help the Naira recover? Is it in the area of trying to ramp up what it is that we earn from our crude oil sales by ensuring that, our military are up to the task of crude oil theft, etc.? Are there areas where you would say we are making progress? Yes, we were down here, but it does appear that we could be making some progress, and given the trajectory we're on, perhaps we could recover.
Well, I pray we recover, but I think it's too early in the day for anybody to see or feel that recovery. My attitude to it is that I will know that we've recovered when the doctor returns the patient to the state he met in. There is a Yoruba saying that if the gods cannot make our lives better, they should not make it worse. So I believe that the government of President Bola Tinubu will do very well if they can wake up the patient. Because right now the patient, trust me, is still in ICU. No matter how jubilant they are, Naira is now 1,000 Naira dollar. It's still a shame, it's still a disgrace that we can jubilate over such nonsense. How does the ordinary man on the street feel today? I feel this time you are distributing rice. We have all become scavengers. We have all become beggars. And all you see now is that palliative of one palliative. Which country lives on palliative? Not a country as prosperous, as great as Nigeria. Nigerians are among the greatest human beings on earth. And yet, we've been turned into people begging for money. People who are desperate and now taken to kidnap people and rob. So it does not matter to me whether the Naira suddenly becomes 800 to $1. What is the impact? I sell a magazine, for example. The cover price of Ovation in the last almost 20 years has been maybe about 2,000 Naira. So with this level, and I print, where I print, we use one of the best printers in England, in Enfield. So imagine how much I was printing, and I was saying, am I going to increase the price of the magazine, which is not food, it's not an essential commodity, to 10,000 naira? So everywhere, everyone is affected. So Nigeria cannot continue to fool itself over the rates of foreign exchange. No, it is the people. We must worry about the people and not about foreign exchange. We don't have electricity now. The tariff is going up again. And while we were still battling with the fallout from the fuel crisis. So it seems that this government is very bold and very courageous, but in the wrong direction. What is the essence of being bold? These people are going to die at the end of the day. So they must show some mercy on the people. That is how I feel.
It was clear, though, that the path to recovery was never going to be easy. I mean, people who were planning to take up this office of president knew that whatever it was that he did, there certainly was going to be some pain felt. How were we supposed to manage the pain?
No. It's beginning to sound like what we call oxymoron in literature. Yes, there will be pain, but the pain must bring relief. If you have a headache, why do you take paracetamol? It is to relieve you. It is not to make your matters worse. But if the very first injection your doctor gives you knocks you out for nearly 1 year, your family should be worried. So I'm very worried for my country. That's the truth. So they can say everything. Every government since APC came to power had always blamed its predecessor. The same thing they're doing now. In the same party, they are blaming Buhari now. In fact, I don't know how Buhari is feeling. I know every day it comes out to heap praises on President Tinubu. I think that is deliberate. That, look, don't let me make matters worse. Let me just manage these people. I'm sure he thought his own party will continue to ridicule him months, almost 1 year after he left power. Maybe some of the things he did, he would not have done it. So APC has thrown us into crisis, deep crisis, and it's not that we lack help. It is not that we lack the people or the manpower, but the first thing is your team. If you assemble a team that says yes, yes, yes to everything you want, if you have a party that is seeking to turn Nigeria into a one-party state, things are not going to go away. If you have a legislature that cannot give us a transparent budget, something as simple as a budget, see the fiasco. So this thing is not just going to go away, because a government cannot be a government of magicians of abracadabra, and you just wish that, yes, this thing will go away or this thing will happen. The patient is still in coma. The patient is in ICU. How do we get the patient to wake and start walking again? This is very important. So don't be deceived by anybody telling you were doing well. Oh, the situation was very bad. They don't know the situation was bad when they said they can do it. All the politics they told us they can do it. And the very first day, you killed the patient. Anyway.
Well, there are big questions right now because this is a democracy. And ideally, I mean, when a ruling party is perceived not to be doing well, what we should be seeing will be, the alternatives from the other political platforms. It doesn't appear that, there is any option right now, or we're seeing the signs that other opposition platforms are actually, coming together. It does appear that, there's a lot of political problems even bedeviling these other political parties. I think you've alluded to a one-party state now, and there are big questions. Just yesterday, we saw some members of your political party come up to ask for the resignation of the acting national chairman, accusing him of, betraying the PDP. I do not know, as a member of the political party, whether you share their sentiments or whether you think that the acting chairman is doing the best he can.
Well, whether I share their sentiment or not, we have crisis, and most of it self-inflicted. Anybody who loves his or her party should be concerned, should be worried that nearly, over 1 year after the last presidential election, we are still applying one man to our party, a man who has since moved on to work for another party and boasting that he will work for the party in the 2027 presidential election. I think until we'll accept that truth, that if we do not uproot this fellow, it's like a bone that is stuck in your neck. Until you get it out, there will be no rest, there will be no peace. And I've said it on your platform several times, that if I had the power, I would have disciplined some people. You can work against your own party openly. I mean, any self-respecting person, if you are not satisfied where you are, you resign and go away. The party is not owned by you. The party made you everything that you are. Everything. Today, the rascality that is going on in Nigeria is so unfortunate because you can see clearly that it seems we have two presidents now in Abuja. A man, no minister is supposed to be superior to anyone. But today, we have a super minister who drives in a presidential convoy of his own. And not why? Because he worked against this party. But I know for a fact that wherever that person is, they can't trust. They know that a man who destroyed his own father's house would waste no time in destroying another person. Family. So we're watching. But I know that it seems right now, some people in our party have decided that enough. They were being gentle, they didn't want to ruffle feathers, but today, enough is enough. About anti-national chairman, I don't have much to say. I don't know that there are always rumors in politics. But if I were in his shoes, he has tried his best. And since the NEC is supposed to meet, of course, you can see some people have already rushed to the courts again, which is very, very unfortunate. Some people are rushing to the courts to stop the NEC meeting because the strategy is this. And fronter, I will be fronter in mentioning names now. The truth of the matter is that a man who is a minister in some Wike, who is sitting in Abuja, plotting with the ruling government to destroy his own party, but at the same time, keeping his own party in his pocket strategically because he still hopes and dreams of contesting in the near future, just in case Tinubu is not able to make it. I don't know how to do it. We can not all be in a state of connected stupidity. You are enjoying power in APC and you are keeping PDP in abeyance. And everybody's watching a party that has produced some of the greatest presidents Nigeria has ever known. From Baba Basanjo to Yaradu to Goodluck Jonathan. Then one young man who has been fortunate, extremely fortunate, to be local government chairman, to be a minister, to be a governor for 8 years, and now a minister again. This young man who should be thanking God he is the one holding all of us to ransom. We will all be fools if we don't react immediately. We must react and react vigorously. No matter how much money he is worth and he is spending, and the courts that give all these genuine, decisions must also be sanctioned by the judiciary. You cannot just be giving frivolous judgments, frivolous injunctions. The neck of a party should not meet after so many years. What judiciary does that?
Well, Chief, so what happens to some of the serving governor or some of the former governors? In addition to that, do people expect that you will probably support a new presidential candidate entirely from the ones who vied before when the time comes in the party?
We have not reached that stage yet. We're jumping the gun. A party has to be in a state of stability before you start thinking about elections. And this is the problem with us in Nigeria. Everything for us is about the next election. It's not about governance. Look, I have participated twice in running the presidential race. And I can tell you, it's not a game of emotion. So many things are involved. What does it matter whether I support a big governor? Is it about age? If it's about age, Joe Biden would not come after Obama. Joe Biden was vice president to Obama. So how come since Obama we've not been having younger people in power? We have Donald Trump. Now we have Joe Biden. In Sierra Leone, we had a young man there. He was kicked out by his people. And they brought in Joseph Boakai. So, you see, what it takes to be a president of the country. Unfortunately, now, people like Wike are working with the Tinubu template of grab it, run with it, then go to court. That is not the democracy we fought for. And anybody who loves his country should be worried. But I can see that a lot of us have become gamblers. As long as I am comfortable or I have crossed the bridge, let the bridge collapse. It doesn't matter. I am telling you, whosoever wants to be president in 2027, if you want me to give you the analysis, I'll give it to you clearly. In the past, when I gave my analysis, people abused me thoroughly when I said, if you don't have this structure, that structure. Structure is not just about you or your party. There are so many issues involved. A structure where a president of the country votes and shows who he votes for, and sending subliminal messages to the security agencies, to INEC, to say this is where we stand, this is who we support. In a country where the president is tantamount to a god on earth. No. So any governor or any senator dreaming now that can take out Tinubu in 2027 must be dreaming and dreaming big. It requires much more than that.
So, Chief, we'll talk about that when we return in just a moment. We need to go to this quick break, but don't go away because we will be right back.
With Glovo, you order anything you want, and when you receive it, you celebrate with your whole body. Because when that tasty grilled chicken is here, the weekend starts. The ingredients for your favorite recipe just in time. And when the cake arrives, the party is on. Because receiving anything on Glovo deserves a dance. Download the app, order anything you want, and track it minute by minute until it arrives. Glovo, order anything, we deliver in minutes.
New beginnings are always colorful. When we celebrate the start of life's journey, we marry in colors. With our proudly Nigerian Dulux paints, now available in any color. Express your world however you want it. Visit a Dulux Color Center to get any color instantly. Dulux, let's color.
Senior executives face local macroeconomic turbulence and global geopolitical upheavals. Don't worry, Texam UK got your back. A transformative journey with Texam Strategies for Sustainable Organizational Success Program, April 24 to 25, 2024, in Lagos will position you and your organization for these challenges. Our interactive sessions, games, assessments, and peer-to-peer learning are unique with a great faculty led by John Peters, former chair, Association of MBAs and ex-prisoner of war, delivering actionable insights for you to navigate uncertainties and thrive. Pay 3,155,215 Naira by March 15th for your spot and enrich your leadership skills in resilience, innovation, and sustainable growth. Apply now via +44 7425 883 791 or exec@texam.co.uk. It's a strategic opportunity to win. Texam, insights that inspire, actions that change the world.
The future belongs to the dreamers, to the doers, to those who are not afraid of the side hustle. It's for those who are ready to turn their passion into something big. And to help keep you revitalized and inspired, Top Tea is with you every step of the way. You are made for more. Find your inspiration. Top Tea, big round bags of flavor.
With Glovo, you order anything you want, and when you receive it, you celebrate with your whole body. Because when that tasty grilled chicken is here, the weekend starts. The ingredients for your favorite recipe just in time. And when the cake arrives, the party is on. Because receiving anything on Global deserves a dance. Download the app, order anything you want, and track it minute by minute until it arrives. Global, order anything, we deliver in minutes.
Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. We'll still have Chief Dele Mombondi here with us. He's joining us virtually. So, Chief, in addition to what you were going to say, let me ask. Now, assuming we had any other president, maybe from the NNPP, the PDP, or Labour Party in position or in power, what is the guarantee, or are there any guarantees whatsoever that things will be practically different? Because you did make reference to the economy, returning us to where we are. Because if we still have persons who pad the budget, or they still put line items like furniture allowance every year still around government, they still put cutlery in and around government, because you know you can't be buying those kind of things every year. Somebody somewhere is taking away the money. If you still have people who look out for their own personal interests above all else, so, and then in states, probably a similar narrative. So if there were any other person in there, given the way we play our politics, are there any guarantees that perhaps we might have even been any way economically better?
Again, my attitude is that you cannot guarantee anything in life until you have been tested. I always tell people, you cannot say you are a saint until you have been tempted. It's the same thing in governance. There are people, and I remember Lagos State, I'd like to give this example because I like the gentleman a lot, despite not being in this party. Mr. Babatunde Raji Fashola, you know, when he came, some of us were quite worried. Who is this quiet man? Where is he coming from? You know, and he came, and he was able to demystify governance in Lagos. In fact, he surpassed what he met on ground, and that is why a lot of people see him as a Superman. You know, there was a man who people thought was just a dancer in PDP, my good friend, you know, now Governor Ademola Adeleke. I mean, I so turned day and night watching him at work. calling his people and begging them, please let us work for our people. If we work for them, that's the only guarantee of the second term. But a situation where most people today in APC, they are already working for 2027 for Tinubu to be president again, when the whole country is up in smoke. This is the crux of the matter. You need men who have conscience.
So, Chief, pardon me to jump in there. You know,
no, just a minute, please.
Yeah, okay.
The rumor in town is that all this padding that you and I are complaining about, that it is not about just the Senate president or a few people in the Senate, that it's a way of the party stocking up against any eventuality in 2027. You can't run a country like that. I also believe that for you to be a good president, you must have managed people and resources very well. A lot of the people we have around today have never managed any business. They lived perpetually on government. So when you have people, if you look at Peter Obi, if you look at Atiku Abubakar today, you will see that these are two strong businessmen. Whether you like them, you hate them, they've been able to manage people and manage resources. So the difference is clear. But right now, we have proliferated our government with people who don't care. Just get power. Whatever you do with it, run with it. This is going to affect us moving forward. And I hope that you and I will continue to speak up against this kind of rascality in our government, where a young man who has never done any business in his life, he's on week, I don't know of any business they have done in his life. So because you are able to buy, which means that you have become Alpha and Omega. In Rivers, we had Governor Odili, we had Rotimi Amechi, we had everything. And this gentleman 3 years ago, we thought was doing well in the area of infrastructure, but suddenly got intoxicated with this power. So you cannot be approached by anybody. You left as governor after 8 years. You want to control the governor who is there because you believe he was your houseboy. And that's the only reason you chose it.
Well, Chief, you know, I was going to talk about some of the factors that perhaps might have contributed to the former governor of Lagos State, Babatunde Fashola, doing as much as he did, where I think at a point, he also did acknowledge that, it was relatively stable. Certain persons had taken care of some political ends so he could focus and concentrate. But when you then speak about Rivers matter, politics, you also say it's a game of interest. While he was there as governor, a lot of people gravitated towards that and thought, oh, yeah, it was all well and good. Things were rosy. And then when you leave the office, you get this kind of scenario. And after all, several people say even today, even as we speak, the scenario of him at least playing a role in who succeeded him is not in isolation. There are several other scenarios that exist today, but they were able to work things out amongst themselves, but it doesn't mean that they're still not their political godfather. And besides, you told us, too, some time ago that both of you are friends. You went there, you tried to ensure that things work well between himself and the presidential candidate of PDP and things like that. So what then went wrong along the line?
What went wrong is that one man's personal ambition took over everything else. And a lot of collateral damages came with it. Look at our governors in Abia, in Enugu, in Benue, losing their senatorial bids just because of the ambition of one man. You see, what a man should know is that when you cut your nose thinking you want to spite your face, you will look very awkward. That's the case of Wike right now. Yes, he was my very good friend, and I continue to say that he was performing well in some areas, especially in the area of infrastructure. But when a man allows anger to take a better judgment of him, then everybody will leave him to roast in his own stew. So we've left him, and we're watching him. Everybody's now watching him like a circus clown. Now, what is wrong with this man? How come you fight everybody? I remember when Dave Umahi, the former governor of Ebonyi, the day the man left our party. I've never seen such. He called everybody. He said he must attack the man. He granted serious interview. And I'm sure, you remember this scenario.
But we know that we've seen they're working together now. That's the way politics goes.
So that is what but because he doesn't have the choice. Let me tell you, Wike feels he is fooling Tinubu and his people. But Tinubu's people know him well. Everybody, there's no Nigerian today who does not know that Wike cannot be trusted in any matter, especially if it affects his interest in power. For him, power is everything. Money is everything. Wike is not a moderate. He's a man who believes that everything must be absolute.
So, Chief, we have a few more minutes to go. So let me just ask you. Some say PDP brought these things upon themselves because in the first instance, they thought Peter Obi himself should have been the one to get the ticket. And when the party and several people watching from our side thought it was supposed to be him to get the ticket. And when the party orchestrated and did whatever they did, and then they couldn't even have him come back to the party. And that was the beginning of the whole downfall of the PDP. So if they had brought him back and look at the vote of PDP, the vote of Labour Party, supposed to combined vote, which hasn't happened. And they thought PDP have themselves to blame for all of this.
No. Chamberlain, maybe you have forgotten that Alhaji Atiku Abubakar picked Peter Obi in 2019. They still did not win. If we have to discuss this, we're going to do a PhD thesis today. But what I want to tell you, that you use the word orchestrate. Who orchestrated everything? Wike. Because Wike wanted the ticket by fear or foulness. And he went all out and obliterated Peter. That's what happened. If you ask me today, how come Peter Obi abandoned a party that gave him a vice presidential ticket in 2019, it's because of the likes of Wike. He was the one manipulating, bringing this chairman, remove this chairman, hire this person, fire that person. That is what happened.
So was it okay at that time when it was VP candidate? The party didn't have any objection to it at the time?
Oh, no. The party at that time, because we didn't have a Wike ambition at that time, at that stage. So if they had allowed Peter Obi to remain and continue to work with Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, maybe things would have been different. But everybody ran away. The moment they saw the money power from Wike, everybody was in trepidation. That is what happened. And for people to say, as if it was Atiku or it was somebody who chased, no. The people decided that they were going to throw Zoni away when Wike's hand-picked chairman and what have you. That's what happened. Well, everything was manipulated and orchestrated just in favor of Wike to get the ticket. And he almost did.
As you've said, if we're to really discuss this matter, we'll do a PhD thesis on this program, and perhaps even all of our 2 hours won't be enough. But right now, you're out of Nigeria, and I do not know when you're coming back. Even with the post you did to Nigerians, and please bear with me, was a picture of you taken in the UK, it would seem. So do you have any plans of coming back to Nigeria and, being amongst the people, just very much like the presidential candidate of the Labour Party? Is this something you still want to do?
I live, for information, I live amongst my people. And I'm already entering retirement. I just left Nigeria a few days ago, and I'm coming back to Nigeria in the next few days. I spend more time in Nigeria. I've just built a library resort in Ibadan, where I intend to spend more time producing books and doing academic work, and if possible, lecture some students here and there. Gratis.
All right.
I have a village home in my village in Yeve, in Owan East local government. So I am a Nigerian. I love Nigeria. I can afford to live anywhere in the world, but I choose to live in Nigeria.
All right.
So I have a home in London. Don't forget that I was in exile in London, so I've kept a home there.
All right, Chief.
I've worked in Ghana, so I live partly in Ghana, but Nigeria is home, and I'm coming back fully to Nigeria because we cannot continue with this rascality.
All right, thank you very much indeed, Chief Dele Momodu, former PDP presidential aspirant and publisher of Ovation magazine. We appreciate your time. 6 hours ahead of you we are, but yet you're still better. So thank you very much indeed once again.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at, well, I know, holiday or not, business must go on. Inijom requires on top of the hour.
True that, Chamberlain. Holiday or not, business goes on. Even for the holiday, I mean, we spend money during the holidays. So you see, life is all about business. So we are starting as usual from the global space where oil is still trading today. The prices rose on Tuesday after hopes diminished that negotiations between Israel and Hamas would lead to a ceasefire in Gaza amid concerns that the lingering conflict could potentially disrupt supply from the key Middle East producing region. We look at the numbers now. We see a gain, a nice gain there, 0.10% for Brent. And yes, we have gone back to the $90 index point, $90 points, $90.52 a barrel. That's what we have for Brent. While for WTI, it's also struggling and pushing. It's now at $86.53 after it gained 0.06%. Now, look at the factors driving this. A fresh round of Israel-Hamas ceasefire discussion is going on in Cairo, ended in Cairo, a multi-session rally on Monday, leading Brent to its first decline in 5 sessions. And even with the decline, we see that it's still looking really good. It's important to note that Nigeria's benchmark is just around $77 a barrel. So imagine the gain we could make if we could optimize our production at this time. Now, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said that an unspecified date had been set for Israel's invasion of the Rafah enclave. So if we're about to celebrate that, we saw that some of their troops left some parts of Gaza. Well, this is not a very good one, and that's ending the hopes that briefly gripped the market yesterday that geopolitical tensions in the region might be easing. So it's still building up right there, and we know that that's a major contributor to the price of oil. Without an end to the conflict, there's an elevated risk that it could involve other countries in the region, especially Iran, and Iran is a major Hamas backer and 3rd largest producer in OPEC. So there you go. The price of oil is still being threatened, might go up more, even though analysts have said it's going to remain under $100 a barrel. Then we come to Nigeria now, where we look at our currency. It's still doing good, gaining. We see for yesterday on the NAFEX. On NAFEM, it was 1.63% up. That's what it gained. So it opened at 1,251 naira 5 kobo, but closed at 1,230 naira 61 kobo, gained right there. While for NAFEX, it closed at 1,239 naira 88 kobo after it opened at 1,255 naira 47 kobo, 1.24% gain on the naira. And we know that yesterday the CBN was really busy, and there's more hope that this is going to add more value to the naira. For instance, the central bank asked all banks to stop the use of foreign currency denominated collaterals for naira loans. And yet Ede to be speaking more on this during Business Incorporated at 1 p.m. So you want to join to understand more about this instruction from the regulator. The CBN Acting Director of Banking Supervision, Mr. Adeton Adedeji, made this known in a statement yesterday. The regulator directed all banks to trim all existing loans with foreign currency collaterals to 90 days or attract a 150% capital adequacy ratio computation as part of the bank's risks. And according to the CBN, the bank is on a mission to ensure that there's adequate supply of FX even as the naira is being strengthened. But on the other hand, we do know that the naira is strengthening because of the intervention from the central bank, and our FX reserve is depleting. That is a worrying one. Well, some economists have told me not to worry about that, because that's, what is it meant for? It's supposed to come in handy at a time like this. But they're also quick to say that even though, yes, it's not wrong for the central bank to support the naira, intervene in the FX market, it's not a sustainable system. So we still have to look at our production system to keep a sustained value of the naira. Also yesterday, talking about intervention by the central bank, we do know that the CBN announced the sale of foreign exchange to Bureau de Change, that's the BDC operators, at an amount of 1,181 naira for $1, and they did about 10,000 dollars yesterday. According to the circular, each BDC is instructed to sell the dollar to eligible customers at a rate not exceeding 1.5% of the purchase, above the purchase. This suggests BDCs are not expected to sell above 1,117 naira for $1. Well, away from the CBN, but still on Forex matter, the federal government is expected to receive $1.05 billion from Afrexim Bank by the end of May, and this is to help revive the economy and improve the foreign exchange market. The $1.05 billion loan is part of the $3.3 billion pre-export finance facility arrangement between the NNPCL and Afrexim brokered last year. In the deal, Nigeria pledged a total of 164.25 million barrels of crude at 90,000 barrels every day, with loan repayments starting from this year, 2024. In January, the NNPCL had received the initial disbursement of $2.25 billion of the agreed $3 billion under the crude oil repayment facility. All right, and one other way of, boosting the naira is, of course, increasing trade. Trans-border traders. Remember last week we did hear that the federal government has removed the restriction between Nigeria and Niger at the borders for trade. Now, a sad one that came out, I think, yesterday is that traders at the borders are beginning to shun Nigeria's currency, the naira, because of the loss of value. They insist that converting naira to CFAs, which is what they use at Cotonou area, the French-speaking part, results in a loss of earnings to them. This is another discouraging factor, within African trade, intra-Africa. But let's discuss this this morning with the lead consultant and Chief Executive Officer of 3T Impex Trade Academy, Dr. Bamidele Ayemibo. Dr. Ayemibo, thank you so much. And thank you for choosing to spend a part of your holiday with us. We appreciate that.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah. So, the cross-border, we have, of course, restrictions. Remember the last administration led by President Buhari? Yeah, he was very strict and put a lot of that. And now we see a little bit of ease in the administration of President Tinubu right now. So we see the border between Niger and Nigeria. Tell us from your perspective, this easing of border trade, is it to our advantage or not? I know we have programs like AFTA, which is supposed to ease, and all of that, ECOWAS, treaties and agreement. But is it to our advantage or not at this stage?
Yes, it's to our advantage. Nigeria is a very big country, and in as much as our export volume is not very high right now, but we are still doing a lot better than Niger. Import of Nigeria, product from Niger into Nigeria is just about $100 million. Nigeria is about 300 million. So we are doing times 3. So we are at an advantage, ensuring the border is open for us to be able to trade with Niger. So, in my opinion, it's a better decision because we are losing, and the number of businesses that are affected because of that.
So what about this notion that because it's kind of difficult to clear at our ports and all of that, you see a lot of things are being cleared at those ports and then being moved maybe sometimes smuggled into
Okay, yes.
Nigeria.
So now I'm looking at it from export perspective. Now, you're very correct in the sense that people sometimes smuggle goods into Nigerian border, even when the border is closed. It doesn't stop it. So the issue is we can't stop that by closing the border. Rather, we are fixing Nigerian ports to make it more competitive for people to be able to come in, rather than saying we want to close. Closing the border, you close it, you open it. People that want to do illicit business, we still have to do, they are still going to do illicit business. So you see people crossing the border and moving good across the border, even though it's been closed. So, but it's good it's open now. I'm looking at it from the export perspective, not from what we are bringing in, but what we can take out to be able to create a lot of jobs locally. And you're talking about AFCFTA. So that's the more reason. So if we are signing AFCFTA, we have ratified AFCFTA, we can't be closing border. We should be thinking of how we can join the guided trade initiative and be able to trade in Africa rather than closing our border.
But is it not a threat to some domestic industries?
Now, I tried to check a number of products that Nigeria will trade in AFCFTA. It's not a threat. You know, there's this concern about being threat. When Nigeria did not sign AFCFTA, a number of African countries were shocked that they were thinking Nigeria is going to dominate and we're going to come in. That why are we pulling back? Because they know us as being very aggressive, wanting to do business. So why are you afraid? So when we signed, it was a welcome development that we signed. So when you check most of the products that Africa currently imports from even around the world, that Nigeria is capable of exporting, we should be focused on how we can export those products rather than thinking that they are going to enter our border. Because when you check the competitive index in Africa, Nigeria is still doing a lot better than many African countries. So rather than protecting ourselves and say we don't want people to come into our market, why they are coming in, why can't we go out also? But the truth is, not much is coming into Nigeria from Africa. A majority of Nigerian export, either import or trade generally, is far, far beyond Africa than Africa. After all,
but they come in, I mean, they come from outside Africa, but they come in through our neighboring countries.
Those are illicit. I'm talking about legal trade. Those are illicit trade. Things that Nigeria naturally would not allow, that people are smuggling in. Opening the border will not stop that. If it's illicit in Nigeria, it's illegal. If the duty is high, the duty is high. If the government bans it. So anybody doing is illegal trade. But I'm talking about people that are doing legal trade now, that opening our border is a lot better for us. And what we should be doing is how we can grow the non-oil export to be able to take advantage of AFCFTA rather than closing our border. So I think it's a way of development that the president have done.
All right. So now that we hear stories of some traders at the border shunning Nigerians' currency because of the drop, well, we appreciate the gain we've been having for more than 2 weeks now, but it doesn't seem to settle down with them, because at this point they say having to trade in Naira is a loss to them.
You know, so this is why we must now take non-oil export a lot seriously, to be able to show up the value of Naira. What the government is doing right now is okay, but it's in the temporary. I mean, we can't continue to do this for a very long time. I mean, the MPR has gone up, investment is coming in.
By this you mean intervention of the CBN? Let me just...
No, I'm talking about, okay, so MPR has gone up. So Nigeria is looking at a place people want to invest because of Treasury bill and a number of other government instruments. So now investment is coming in, so FX is flowing in, rate is coming down. But it's not sustainable. We now must generate Forex ourselves, because those money that are coming are going to go out at some point. So what is happening at the border is to let us know that, look, even our neighbor are rejoining our currency because our value is going down. So we must grow non-oil export. I think that's what we should be having conversation around now. To a large extent, CBN is doing a lot. There seems to be a synergy between the fiscal policy and the monetary policy to stabilize the economy. But now, can we begin to now take non-oil export growth very much seriously? Because I'm not seeing a lot of that in the effort being made by the government, both on the fiscal side and monetary side.
Well, I mean, because when you say that you're seeing the collaboration more obvious, I'd like for you to point that out, some points where you have seen that. And yes, we see, especially since the Governor Cardoso took over, we've seen a lot of efforts. I mean, we cannot count the statements and the circulars we have seen. But what about the fiscal side? Are we really seeing movement?
No, we are not seeing enough movement there yet. And that's where I said, because what CBN is trying to do is, in almost all the intervention that the last administration went into, CBN said, look, that's not our job. And the reason why CBN went into before, because the fiscal side were not doing enough. But I think it would have been good for CBN to work with them at that time to be able to get them to do what they need to do. So, for example, you feel there's a need for intervention in a particular sector, why don't you support the ministry in question to be able to achieve that? That's exactly what I think we should be looking at. But now we're not seeing that in terms of, like you said, non-oil export. So, for example, I'm expecting by now we should be hearing the president talk a lot about non-oil export, the Minister of Trade, Minister of Finance, saying a lot about non-oil export trade. We're not hearing this, statement that shows that this is what the government wants to do. Let me give an example. So we have ambassadors around the world. Our ambassadors should have a target. Like ambassador in Nigeria have. We've had a situation where we do some program with National Banking and Finance, Administration Experience Studies, and we on trade. And we see embassies sending their staff, Nigerians, to come and train to be able to develop Nigerian market for those countries abroad. So we're not seeing that in Nigeria. I think Nigerian ambassadors should have KPI. You must double Nigerian export to your country, else you lose your job. Something that will make them to sit up, so that at the end of the day they know, if I'm in this country, in the next 1 year, this is the volume of trade of Nigeria in this country, we must do it for this country, so they can see themselves as marketing Nigeria in those countries. We're not seeing that right now. I think that's a challenge. So that's why I'm saying that maybe, the idea of body language, if you see body language of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, maybe that will make them begin to consider that as something we need to do at this time.
I guess another discouraging factor to that would also be the operating environment right here. We've had manufacturers groan with this electricity hike. We're talking of insecurity for the farmers, for most of the raw materials that should come from the farm. So, if you give them targets, they will ask you, do you have it ready? Do you have the raw materials? Do you have the crops? Do you have the products? Have you processed anything?
Now, okay, I operate within this environment. I'm not disputing what you've said, but the fact is that Nigeria is exporting. NPC confirmed Nigerian number of products exported increased from about 240 to about 273 or thereabout last year. Nigeria is exporting. What we need to do is to check, what are we exporting? Which of them is not affected by this issue you've mentioned that we can increase, because indeed we can increase it. So I'm not disputing what you said. So
what are those products that we can focus on that, at least for now, the low-hanging fruit?
Let me give you an example. We talk a lot about cocoa, right? Cocoa demand in the world is about $10 billion.
And we just had a surge of cocoa prices.
Now, but that's not where I'm going. Soya beans demand is about $70 billion. Soya beans. Corn demand is over $30 billion. Now, these are commodities that have not even added value. If we now decide to begin to add value to it, you see what will happen. Same for cocoa. Cocoa price is going up, but of course, we shouldn't be exporting commodity, because we should begin to add value to it to be able to grow. Because if we don't add value to it, the market size for cocoa is 10 billion. Market size for chocolate is over 30 billion. So he's making money. The Switzerland people, the German people that are adding value to it. So what the government needs to, I know there's a challenge with electricity hike and the like. We are in a situation where we can't help it. We'll keep appealing to government to do what they need to do. But the fact is that we need to grow non-oil export. Now, if I increase my volume of export, I'm going to drive down the price and cost of production. So we should be looking at those things rather than just say, okay, they have increased the price. Of course, it's not good for the economy. There's complaint about it. But in spite of that, the fact is that Nigeria is exporting. But what we need to do now is to increase the volume so as to be able to ensure we sustain the improvement in the value of the Naira.
Talk to the private sector, I guess.
Yes.
But the private sector will ask you if the government has done the ease of doing business, if that has been taken care of. Even exporting, when you talk about those who are exporting currently, activities around the ports.
No, it's improving. No, I'm an exporter. It's not there yet, but it's improving. So
what has improved?
Okay, so last year I was to do a shipment, the clearing of custom. Within 2 days, I was done with clearing. I had issue moving the goods from Lilipon Container Terminal to Apapa. It took me 5 days. That's the problem. So those are the issues I think we have to look over now. So the issue is not with the agency again. Now, because of what the government is doing at Lilipon Container Terminal, another terminal where we have joint inspection, is improving. So we must commend the fact that it's improving. Now, even moving now to the port, I did a shipment this month. It's a lot better. Last year, I spent 5 days. Now I'm spending about 2 days. So it's improving. We should be doing more. I shouldn't be clear. I should be able to do everything within 1 or 2 days, everything. But it's taking about a week to conclude it. So in as much as there are issues around the port, but we must also acknowledge the fact that there's an improvement. The improvement does not mean we are there yet, but I think we are better off than where we were before.
I think we should end on a good note. It's a holiday. It's a holiday on a good note. At least it's improving.
Yes.
And we hope they will continue to work on it.
Yes.
And to continue to improve.
Yes.
Thank you so much for your time, Dr. Bamidele Ayemibo, lead consultant and Chief Executive Officer of 3T Impex Trade Academy.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, now, at least we end on a good news for once. Let's take a break now. When we come back, we'll head to the market. We couldn't take Caleb yesterday. He's standing by, and we do hope this holiday will not be smeared by a network challenge. So we'll talk to Caleb after the break. To stay with us.
34 million hectares of arable land. Over 200 million people. One nation. Home to Africa's fertilizer company. Dangote Fertilizer. Pure urea fertilizer. With one single-minded passion to feed Nigeria. Every bag is a potential, an aspiration to turn this green nation into the biggest food basket of Africa. Dangote Fertilizer.
Africa's stories become world stories.
Every system of government has oligarchic tendencies.
Network Africa is your one-stop shop for news on the continent.
Cholera is highly dangerous and can kill within a day.
Join us weekdays at 4 p.m. right here on Channels Television.
Now this is more like it, right? We want the best quality ingredients when we cook. But when it comes to salt, we care less. We say salt is salt. Well, I care about my salt. It goes into my food and my body. So I use Dangote salt.
Dangote salt is high-quality salt that is refined and iodized
to give great taste to my meals and also to support my family's health and well-being. It's time to care about your salt.
Welcome back. Here is Business Morning on Sunrise Daily. We head to the markets now. It is closed today. It's going to be a long holiday till Thursday, and you beat that. But anyway, let's look at the numbers from yesterday. It was a red market at the NGX. At the close of trade yesterday, we saw those numbers. The all share index dropped further away from that 104,000, closed at 103,046.99, and that's minus 0.38%. And we see the risk of losing the 58 trillion naira for the equities cap. 58.27 trillion naira is what's happened, and we saw a big drop with the fugas yesterday. The banking sector was down 2.67%. Consumer goods was also down 0.27%. Insurance and oil and gas were unchanged. We see it seems oil and gas wants to try to co-opt insurance into the unchanged. Industrial goods was unmoved, even though it was a bit positive. Top trades were Abbey Buildings, GTCO, and Accessco as expected. We see the figures down. You know that a lot of profit taking took place on the banking counter yesterday. And now let's speak to Caleb Alimi. Caleb Alimi is the chief dealer at Providence Bank. Caleb, good morning. Good to have you today. We couldn't do it yesterday.
Good morning, Nini. I hope we have better luck.
Yes. I've been praying about this. So yesterday we wanted to talk about the auctions of last week and reactions to it. And of course, already the second quarter calendar has been activated. How's it going so far? And then we have a lot of holidays this week. Investors will just have to be patient.
Exactly. First of all, we are grateful for the holidays.
Because you're not at work, Caleb. You don't want to work.
No, we want to work, but we also have to rest and recharge, you know. So that's about that. Last week, let's take the conversation from the interbank liquidity. Interbank liquidity was really positive. Week on week, it remained positive. And that's why we saw the CBN come into the market last week with an open option. They floated 500 billion across, three standard maturities, 91 days, 182 days, and 364 days. However, they sold roughly 650 billion or thereabouts, to mop up the liquidity in the system. We did see the full impact of that as at yesterday, the business week of yesterday, where, liquidity had dropped, from positive 100 billion to about a negative 43 billion. We also saw interbank rates, rise from around 21.75 where they closed last week to about 27, 28%, yesterday. That's on the back of, like I said, tightening liquidity. This week we're supposed to have an entity auction. The entity auction is one that everybody can participate in, where the DMO is offering roughly 149 billion, about 150 billion across three maturities. We expect that interest rates will remain elevated across those three maturities. The last auction for this one, for the NCD, closed around 16.24, 17%, and 21.124. We think they're going to remain around those levels again at this auction. The auction was supposed to hold on Thursday and settlement Thursday, but due to the holiday, that has now been extended to hold on Friday and settlement to be that same Friday.
So we see the holidays disrupting, activities in the market as expected, but does it have any impact, or it's just, moving some of those auctions a day forward?
The impact is strictly operational. It's just changing the date of the auction. It does not impact on the interest rate or the appetite for the customers or for investors. It's strictly operational.
So let's talk about the yields now, the rates. We've seen it increasing, even though that, of course, increases the cost of a fund for the government. Of course, it's good for investors because, there's a promise of you earning more. Do you see a further increase? A lot of people are betting if it can get closer to the inflation rate.
Well, that's unlikely because if you look at the purpose for which CBN has taken this route, is largely to bring down the exchange rate or to lead to an appreciation of the Naira. And we can see that over the last 2 months, the Naira has continued to strengthen. Just yesterday, the CBN also sold to the BDCs, authorized BDCs, at 1,101, and give them a 1.5% plus margin. What that has done is we've seen even the autonomous markets and all sorts of other markets, take pricing from that, and rates have continued to come down aggressively. So the CBN, we don't see the rate inching any further because, what they're doing or what they've done so far, there's we can see the impact, So I expect that they will just keep the rates where they are currently at around 21%, which is a real return of about 27, 28%, which investors are pretty satisfied with. And we'll continue to see influx of foreign investors, foreign portfolio investors come to enjoy that high yield. So I think there's no need for them to take the rates higher. It's sort of a...
Yeah, and talking about the CBN intervention, we see it have a negative impact, as expected, on our reserves. Should we be worried?
We may be worried, but we then also need to look at the other things that will contribute to that reserve. First of all, is the sustained increase in the price of crude oil. The other part would be our improved productivity as well in terms of crude oil. So long as those factors are still there, we should be relaxed. Also, there's going to be the local dollar, the dollar-denominated bonds that will be issued locally. That would also attract more money to the reserve. And they've also said that they will come to the Eurobonds market proper in the second half of the year. So those are other avenues that are going to show up. What we see in the reserve today is a temporary shrink. The measures in place, the plans in place to restore that reserve. So it's nothing to be worried about.
All right, Caleb, we'll take your word for now. At least we see oil prices, Brent is now above $90, so that's good for us. But thank you so much for your time, and do enjoy the holiday.
Thank you for having me, Amy. Take care.
You too. All right, so that's it on Business Morning on Sunrise Daily. Let's head back to the Sunrise Daily studios with Chamberlain, Malkwe, and, Ayo is not around today. So it's Chamberlain and Malkwe, back to you.
All right, welcome back. Yes, indeed, we've got Fabio Oladimeji, who himself is a former Deputy Director of Volunteer Management, and Silas Onu, who is a lawyer and also a member, both of them, of the People's Democratic Party. Good morning, gentlemen. Thank you for coming on today.
Good morning, Chamberlain. Good morning, Esther.
Good morning. It's good to see you.
Call for resignation of the acting chairman is one of the key issues making the rounds, and that's what we'd like to start off with today on this segment. So with this call, of course, there are several people interpreting it differently. Some think, well, yes, maybe. Others think, no, maybe not. But I guess it's a few days to the party's next meeting, and who knows if it will hold, because from what we hear, the courts may play a big role in this one, so we don't know yet. But Mr. Fabio, let me start with you. What do you think is going on within the party for this call?
Well, thank you very much. I think it's normal in political. And but what really strikes me is that we're not in electioneering time period now, and all these things have started rearing their ugly heads. For me, in any political engagement, you find because it's about interest. Your interest may not really align with mine, and then when it doesn't, you see people coming out and say, no, we're not good with this. So it's expected because it's politics, it's democracy. And when you extend that further, you know that it's all about agitation, it's all about stakeholding, it's all about, noise making and all that. So that's why you see all of these things happening. So PDP had issues, no doubt, and then the entire country knows that PDP is not at its best now. But I think the leadership realizing that, guys, we need to sit down and talk about it and resolve all these issues. And that's why you see NEC coming up after the presidential election. It should have come immediately. But there were few concerns, few things that were being considered. For instance, the Supreme Court cases ended, I think, in January. Of course, we have to wait till that's completed and dusted. We did. Then immediately after that, we have the Easter, the Lenten and all that. Then we have the Muslim Ramadan. So all these things have to, because the party is made up of people who are seriously into all of this. So now, and that's why you see NEC coming up now, after all of this. And I think it's an effort to be able to look at all issues, all concerns, all agitations, and with a view to solving them. It's critical. It's important that PDP do that now. If they don't do it, it's dangerous. So for those calling for national chairman's registration, they must have their reasons for doing that. In fact, it's their right to do so, especially when they see that things are not going the way it should, in their own estimation. So that's it.
But Mr. Ono, for those calling and then they are threatening to leave the party if they don't get their wish, in addition to what you want to say, also add, do you think they can afford to actually leave the party and go somewhere else?
Well, firstly, I'd like to have a conversation in context. Yeah. They call for resignation of the acting national chairman. What really are they calling for? The man was elected as deputy national chairman, not. Are they saying he should resign as deputy national chairman, not? Because acting chairmanship is a kind of a caretaker position for him. As we speak, there is still a national chairman who is in court. Yochiayu is still the national chairman. That is the person they should be calling on to resign. Not a man who was elected as deputy national chairman. What really do you want him to resign as acting chairman? Because he's just holding fort that office since the occupant has some challenges and is in court. If tomorrow Ayu is cleared by the court and he returns, the deputy national chairman will not say, no, you can't come back. He will simply hand over papers to him.
The matter is still in court?
It's still in court, yes.
That is
the matter is still in court. So those people are a bit not on point with that call. And I should think that a good party member, if you have issues with your party, rather than just calling a press conference, as a member of the National Assembly, which is a position that makes you a ranking member of the party. And they claim there are 60 of them. We only saw about 6 people at the podium yesterday. The 60 of them would have arranged to see the National Working Committee. The party will welcome them, and then they express their concern, if it's regarding the issue in Rivers or the continuous acting position of the national chairman, and then they would have gotten a clearer picture of what is happening.
What do you think this is about?
I think it's just unnecessary attention-seeking. That is what I think. It's unnecessary, and then heating up the politics.
But there must be a reason.
But somebody there may be a puppeteer, but it's not very clear yet.
I was just about to ask you that.
This is about getting attention, because you don't ask a man who is simply acting to resign. He's simply acting. Unless tomorrow there's vacancy in that position and he's vying, you can begin to say, no, we won't support you, we'll support her. That's within your right. And even if there is vacancy and the agreement is that it should go to North Central, there is a zonal caucus in the North Central that will have to sit down and agree. They can change states. They can decide to say, IU was from Benue, we're taking it to Plateau, we're taking it to Nasarawa, Niger, Kwara, wherever. They can change. They can also decide to retain it in Benue. And then narrow it down to an individual to say, this is who we want. And then they now present it to the party.
Well,
and it will be ratified. Not to come and say, resign so that we'll bring another person. Who is the we? You know? And then on the threat to the camp, you know the Constitution only gives you one window to the camp when there is the division at the national level, not the state, or this one you are saying acting chairman. It's not a division. So if you decamp for whatever reason, you're going to lose your seat in the National Assembly. I personally will volunteer to do the case for the party, because I hate people who do what my friend called political jumpology. You're here today, tomorrow you're there, next tomorrow. Most of these people who are threatening the campaign, when they went to the National Assembly, we saw what they did. They didn't even listen to the party to guide them in the election of national officers, I mean principal officers in the National Assembly. They each went and negotiated with who they knew would be the speaker for juicy positions for themselves. So they are, in a way, even not properly whipped in the House.
Very interesting. I mean, that's certainly something that we'll be adding to the lexicon, political jumpology, maybe gymnastics, we don't know. Anyways, I was actually going to start all the way back from your own ambition to be chairman of PDP in Ebonyi State.
Yes.
That didn't go quite well. Is this something you're still nursing?
Well, I am privileged to have chaired the party for 2-3 months and also conducted all the congresses for the party that produced all those that contested the last election, including the governorship candidate. So I have left my mark in Ebonyi as past chairman, even though the court eventually said no, removed me. But I did play my role then. And as you know, I contested for Senate in the by-election that took place on the 3rd of February this year. We're in the tribunal. Our pre-hearing will begin on Monday. So we are loyal party members. You mustn't be everything in the party. You also must respect the leadership of the party, especially at the center. You may have your grievances. There are better ways of expressing it than just calling press conference and attacking the party to make it look like there is crisis. The party is coming out of a serious electoral division. We need to heal before the next election. We need to resolve our differences before the next election. And this is the right time to do it. And I think this NWC has managed to stabilize the ship. I'm sure you must have heard people calling for the head of those ones. Myself, I called for the head of some people in my state who did anti-party. And the NWC said, no, we can't punish this, we can't punish that. We're trying to see how we will bring about peace. I remember...
Do you think there's a solution? Is that a solution you support? Well, the fact that, because some people actually think that discipline is the way to go, and perhaps a lack of discipline is what has gotten your party to where it is?
Yes, the discipline is very important, but how you discipline is also important. You discipline by giving people fair hearing, so you know why they did what they did, so that you can avoid the same thing from repeating itself tomorrow. But what some people are calling for is just deal with him so that we'll be happy. And most of the people who call for this, you find out social media, are not necessarily members of the party. They may be sympathetic to the party, but not members of the party. So, and a leader will take the credit or the blame for whatever happens in a circumstance where he tried to enforce discipline and then the house crumbles. Because you know this is politics. And you must be political in resolving political crisis. If you want to now take your church idea or your mosque idea of saying an eye for an eye in politics, everybody will go blind. So you must be very careful.
And the blind cannot lead the blind.
The blind cannot lead. So you must be very careful to navigate these very thorny issues of party crisis.
Well,
especially at the national level, because the people you are playing with have the resources to create crisis for you. All of the sides, they have resources.
Interesting. Well, you just said something about puppeteers. It's possible that, you know, they are acting out a script. I do not know whether you also buy this idea, Mr. Fabi, as to whether or not they are also being controlled. Because this came out from the blues. All of a sudden, we just saw this press conference, and this was at the time we thought the party was about to, you know, start getting together, especially when we had the announcement of the NEC. Has a date been picked for that?
Yes, 18th of April.
18th of April. So it's a few days away, and people just thought, oh, look, there's something to look forward to within the PDP, and then this comes out of the blues from people who are within the party occupying elective positions. So do you think that somebody is orchestrating this from outside? And if the answer is yes, who do you think could be behind it?
Mark, well, let me tell you, there will always be insinuations, you know, for any action that is taken in a political party. Whichever sides of the divide you belong to, whatever action you take, people will always say, okay, somebody somewhere is actually doing all of this. For me, it is those people that did the press conference that could tell the people, that could tell us whether some people are behind, you know, drumming, you know, making the drum for them. So I don't know about that. But for me, I think they have the right to tell the world, this is how we feel. This is what we believe that is wrong. And then we can't really question them for that. All right? So that
is well within their rights.
It's well within their right to do so. And then it's not left for the leadership to critically look into their agitations and concern and address it appropriately. But I don't support the idea of threatening to leave the party, because I tell you that would be suicidal for them. Because the constitution is clear, especially at the National Assembly level, just like he said, on how to make that departure. So, and I think we haven't even gotten to that. So these are issues that have been raised, and the party should rise to the occasion. Okay? We have about 10 states that have similar problem. The party said, okay, because of time factor, every state working committee that are in place should metamorphose into, what is it called? Caretaker committee. So I really do not understand what is going on in Rivers. Whether there was, okay, new names were added to those ones. If new names are not added, I don't think there's any need for any agitation. But if new names were added, then that calls for, you know, interrogation. And
that's part of the bone of contention.
Okay, so that there are new names.
This tussle, I think they mention Rivers a lot.
You know why Rivers is being mentioned. Everybody knows why Rivers is in there. The big man there. That's why I said this. And let me tell you, it's possible that Wiki doesn't know anything about this one. All these things. It's just the decision of the party to do. It's possible. 100%. But because of a lot of things that have been happening around in that place, they can easily say, this man is the one behind. So let me tell you, a lot of things that have been going around now. And I know the party leadership knows about this. there's this belief, or there's this, I don't want to call it a rumor, okay, it's an allegation, that 4 people are all out to destroy PDP. And they mentioned 2 governors, they mentioned the acting national chairman, and they mentioned the minister of FCT. These are things that are going around now. And that is unsettling a lot of people in the party. That why do we need to destroy this party? This party has done enough for many of these people.
But is it the first time that the rumor is out to destroy the party?
No, but what I'm saying is, running it around these 4 persons. So still talking about, okay, the way people react and say, there must be somebody behind this.
Yeah, but what I want to know is, for the people who say that, what advantage, what benefit will those people garner from destroying a party that gives them relevance?
I really can't.
Let me even step in a bit to say, what does destroying a party really mean? Is it when you don't have your way that the party is destroyed, or when somebody else is having his way, which is virtually the same thing? What does it mean to destroy a party? Once you're not in charge, the party is being destroyed. The issue in River State that they kept mentioning is quite unfortunate. Before I take any political position, I like to hear both sides. So I reached out yesterday when I had the press briefing to the acting national chairman and to the national organizing secretary. What is happening in Rivers? What really? And immediately the national organizing told me, look, it's the same thing that is happening in your state, Ebonyi, because we've had caretaker for a while. And their tenure has lapsed. But you cannot leave the party in vacuum. So they said, okay, all caretakers and ESCOs whose tenure have elapsed, right, continue as caretaker until NEC, where decisions will be taken for congresses in states. Now, whether the people in Rivers are pro-Wike or pro-Governor Fubara is immaterial to the party, because they were there and a decision was taken. They should continue. If the governor doesn't want them, for God's sake, what will caretaker do to a governor? Why not plan for the Congress? If you have a problem with those in the caretaker, begin to plan for the Congress. And the governor just dramatized everything. Let me tell you something. This is a governor that the party doesn't even know if he's a member of PDP.
How do you mean?
He doesn't do anything with PDP. He doesn't attend any PDP activity. When he and the former governor had issues, the party wrote him on 13 December and said, brief us of what was happening in that state so that we can intervene. He ignored the party. Rather, he arranged to meet with the president, who is a member of APC, to mediate for them. He didn't come to his party. Have you asked yourself, why has PDP Governors Forum not intervened? Why have they stayed aloof? The man doesn't participate in anything.
Yeah,
so it's even dangerous. It's even dangerous for the party to even entrust him with structure, because there are rumors too that he wants to leave, at least for the minister. Who knows? At least for the minister of FCT. People know where he stands. He tells you, I work for the president, right? But I'm still a member of PDP. I will not leave. So you know his stance. You know what he's doing is probably because of grievances. And if you let time pass, most of these grievances will be resolved with time.
I'm just wondering.
But this man, since he started fighting Wike, it's like everybody in PDP is Wike.
Yeah, but I'm just looking at the fact that, it's caretaker. You've asked what will caretaker do to a governor. So if they're caretaker, why can't they just have any caretaker until why must it be those who have been there, whose tenure has elapsed? If that will bring peace, why can't the governor
like I said,
bring his own caretaker? After all, it's caretaker.
It's not the governor who appoints party leadership. It's not his responsibility.
Indeed, but he can present to the party who the choices are.
When the party takes a blanket decision, Rivers was not the focus of that decision. It wasn't as if Rivers State was singled out and they say, for Rivers, you do this. It was a blanket decision for more than 10 states, not just Rivers. Let's do this thing so that nobody will feel we have any special interest. Those who are there continue. When is next? It's just next week.
So they can't wait till next week.
Just next week.
See, Chamberlain, okay.
But you all know that, I mean, a lot, how will I put it, a day is a long time in the politics. Isn't that what politicians say?
We're not in an election year.
Yes, we're not in an election year, but let me tell you, there's always this, let me call it palpable fears here in any political arrangement. And that's why you see the things you see playing out now. The governor really has cause for worry. And then if he's not worried, then there's something wrong with him. But I agree with him that it's unfortunate that the governor has not really identified with the party. But something is very clear. I think there is a consensus of opinion in Rivers now, most especially against the former governor. You see quite a number of people coming out to speak. I saw Tele Ikuru, the former deputy governor. I saw the former deputy speaker of the House. I saw quite a number of people, saying one thing or the other, and mostly expressing their discontent with what is going on in Rivers State. So the national office of the party has a duty to make sure that this crisis is well managed. Else we are going to pay dearly for it. Rivers State is critical to PDP, and even indeed critical to Nigeria. Now, for me, I think Governor Wike, who is at the center of all of this, has to do a thorough soul searching and ask himself if he has been fair to the party that gave him everything. And then, if he was able to be honest with himself, I think he's going to really go a long way as accepting so many things. For me, I have my disagreement with him is very simple, and is one. If you say you don't continue to generate heat, both at the national and the state level, if you say, yes, before the election, everybody knew you, we all know that you work against the interests of your party and your candidate, very glaring. And the reasons you espoused then was because, forget about the fact that he wasn't picked as the vice VP candidate, which I strongly supported him at that time. Okay, the presidency must come to the South. And as God will have it, all right, presidency has gone to the South. Why still creating more heat or semblance of heat in the system? I am not happy with that. And I'm not agreeing with him on that, regardless of whatever position he's occupying. So for me, he needs to do a thorough soul search. And for Damagu, let me say this to him. He has to be careful. And this NEC is going to provide him an opportunity to make a bold statement in the interest of the party. The NEC must look at themselves in the face and speak the truth to themselves. If not, the party will go. So it's an opportunity for him so that his remaining political capital will not be destroyed. So that he won't go down in history as the acting chairman under whose party goes down the drain. It's important.
I'm still a little curious.
All eyes are on NEC. All eyes are on them.
You know, how it is that the accusation against an acting national chairman, now boils down to one person who is a former governor in a state like Rivers. And Rivers is not the only state. There are 36 states. I'm still a little curious as to...
It's because of the dramatic personnel from that
Let me react a little.
And it didn't just start today.
Let me react a little because of time.
Yes, very quickly.
That's 1 minute.
There is no evidence or any inclination. There's nothing on ground to show that Wike is even aware of this caretaker committee issue. Like I said, it's NWC decision. Because I've asked a lot of questions. I asked them. They don't consult Wike to take their decisions. Albeit the national chairman has to balance all interests. Wike is not his enemy, and no other person is his enemy. He's been working to balance interests. And you can see, the moment he started acting, that heat of Wike and the other group every day quarreling has actually gone down. This drama you're witnessing now is Governor Fubara's insecurity. And it's unfortunate. The national chairman and the NWC hasn't done anything targeting him. Like I said, it was a blanket decision.
Do you think the NEC will be able to calm everything down?
The governor is a member of NEC. Now, knowing full well that NEC is 18th, when you saw something you didn't like, You wait and come and present it in NEC.
Okay.
And canvass your position. Not to try to heat up the polity unnecessarily.
Of course, definitely there'll be a lot of attention and focus on the PDP neck. But as you politicians do, they have a way of setting all of these things. So if you want to break your head with coconuts for another man's headache, that's your own kettle of fish. Because usually there's huge build-up, and then they go there and everything is all clear. And then you're wondering, what was all this about? That's life, right?
See, in any political party, when there's no crisis, the leadership will create one.
So there you go.
And we'll use those who are fanning this into such matter. Don't worry.
So the big deal is enjoy your holiday. Don't bother too much. If you want to go take Meshachov, go for you.
PDP have gone through worse. Worse
So,
time and survived it.
So there you go. Salah Zodo is a legal practitioner and member of party. Fabiola Demeji, former deputy director of volunteer management, also of PDP. Thank you both for coming on and enjoy your holidays as well.
Thank you, Esther.
Thank you, guys.
I'm waiting for you.
Yeah. I mean,
we're going somewhere.
I heard a mild advert. We're going to ignore it. But well, you certainly know somebody likes to drink coffee.
Well, just take it easy while you drink it, though.
Okay.
All right. We'll see you next time. Chamberlain Usod, goodbye.
Thank you so much for watching this beautiful Tuesday morning. We hope you enjoy the rest of your holiday. I'm Maokbe Ogun Yusuf.